The infamous Interstate 4, I-4, in Florida, connecting Tampa and Daytona Beach, is often called the deadliest highway in America. With a fatality rate of 1.25 deaths per mile, it significantly surpasses the national average, making it a grim example of how dangerous American roads can be. But the story of I-4 isn't just about reckless drivers or bad weather. It's a case study in why our obsession with widening highways often makes traffic worse, not better. Between 2016 and 2024, over 775 crashes were reported on I-4, a shocking statistic considering its relatively short length. Experts point to a combination of factors: poor road design, high traffic volume, and risky driver behavior. But one overlooked culprit is the very thing we often see as the solution to congestion: more lanes. Orlando, a global tourist hub, sits right in the middle of I-4. Millions of visitors flock to Walt Disney World, Universal Studios, and other attractions each year, many of them unfamiliar with the local roads. They're often distracted, following GPS directions, gawking at billboards, or simply overwhelmed by the unfamiliar surroundings. This influx of tourist traffic, combined with local commuters, creates a volatile mix of inexperienced and distracted drivers, increasing the likelihood of accidents. The highway's design itself adds fuel to the fire. I-4 is notorious for its confusing merging zones and bottlenecks. Frequent on and off ramps create high-pressure merging situations, forcing drivers to make split-second decisions in heavy traffic. This is especially problematic near downtown Orlando, where lanes narrow abruptly, causing sudden slowdowns and increasing the risk of rear-end collisions. Then there's the issue of driver behavior. Florida drivers have a reputation for aggressive driving, and I-4 is no exception. Tailgating, speeding, and erratic lane changes are commonplace. Add to this the spike in DUI incidents during weekends and holidays, and you have a recipe for disaster. Florida's unpredictable weather also plays a role. Sudden thunderstorms can create treacherous driving conditions. With slick roads and reduced visibility, dense fog, particularly in early mornings, has been known to cause multi-vehicle pileups. Even the attempts to improve I-4 have, at times, exacerbated the problems. The ongoing I-4 Ultimate Project, a $2.3 billion expansion project, aims to add express lanes and improve traffic flow. However, the construction itself creates new hazards, with narrowed lanes, confusing detours, and sudden lane closures. The human element is perhaps the most significant factor. Studies show Florida drivers are more prone to distracted driving than those in other states, often texting, checking phones, or fiddling with in-car entertainment systems, and a disproportionate number of accidents involve drivers under 20, who often lack the experience to handle I-4's challenging conditions. Let's circle back to our initial question: why doesn't adding more lanes actually fix traffic? The answer lies in a fascinating concept called induced demand. This principle, first recognized in the US back in the 1930s, explains how expanding road capacity can, counterintuitively, increase traffic volume. Think of it this way: a 4-lane road connecting a suburb to the city is jammed, drivers are frustrated, and some opt for alternative transportation: buses, trains, bikes, or even carpooling. But then, the highway expands to 8 lanes. Suddenly, driving becomes the quickest, easiest option. Those former bus riders, cyclists, and carpoolers are now behind the wheel, filling up those brand new lanes until, you guessed it, traffic crawls to a halt again. It's a self-defeating cycle. The infamous Katy Freeway in Texas serves as a prime example of induced demand in action. Expanded to a staggering 26 lanes, it still suffers from chronic congestion. This concrete behemoth proves that simply paving over the problem isn't the solution. Instead of focusing on endless highway expansions, we should be prioritizing the development of comprehensive, multimodal transportation systems. Induced demand, thankfully, works both ways: reduce road capacity, invest in efficient and appealing public transit and bike infrastructure, and watch as people embrace these alternatives. The result: less traffic, less pollution, and safer streets for everyone. Remember that iconic photo of the gridlocked Katy Freeway? If we consider the average US vehicle occupancy, every single person in that traffic nightmare could fit comfortably on just 2 double-decker trains. The cost comparison is even more striking. Maintaining a 2-track rail system is substantially cheaper than maintaining a 26-lane superhighway. So, let's reframe the question for taxpayers. Do we keep pouring money into ever-expanding highways that ultimately become more expensive parking lots? Or do we invest in smart, sustainable public transit that actually addresses the core issues of congestion and offers real solutions for the future? The next time you're stuck in traffic, remember I-4 and the Katy Freeway. Remember that true progress isn't measured in lanes of asphalt, but in providing citizens with viable choices, clean air, and safe, efficient ways to reach their destinations. Only then can our roads become what they were intended to be, arteries of a thriving, interconnected society, not symbols of frustration and gridlock.